My name is Intisar Duram. I am the senior judge for today for this presentation. I've been doing this for several seasons, and so I have been very lucky. I'm an engineer. I'm an engineering manager for a multinational company, and I'm based in Los Angeles, California. I would ask the other judges to introduce themselves, if you don't mind, and then I have a short announcement afterwards before the team starts.
I'm John Rangel, and this is my first time being a judge, so I'm pretty excited. I was a little nervous when Wesley said that we're using blind judges. I can see, I can assure you, I can see. But I'm recently retired after over 35 years of being primarily in the finance side of the business as chief financial officer of a number of companies. I ran a business for about 3 years over in Europe, and most of my CFO experience has been with sporting goods companies. Most recently with a company called Specialized Bicycles, and but previously with a number of both outdoor businesses and ski businesses and this sort of thing. So it's been a number of companies. I'm here because I'm really interested, number one, in the topic. It's a pertinent topic to electric bikes, e-bikes. Certainly, the batteries are smaller than electric vehicles, but it's an issue, and it's an issue that the industry's been trying to solve for. Secondly, I'm interested in learning from you all, because you've done the research and you're bright and you're on the beginning, the starting side of your career, so that always excites me. And I'm hopeful to be able to give you some feedback also at the end, some helpful feedback at the end. And that's it.
That is awesome. Thank you, John. As a person who's been doing this for quite some time, I honestly look forward to April every year because I get to do this. So yeah, it's just it's an incredible experience, I think, for all of us. But with that, I'm going to just give you just a short announcement before the team begins. And I'm not sure who's keeping time, but I'll keep time. So please stay on your 25 minutes. So again, just a reminder, for this part of the competition, you are taking on a fictional business identity and assigning a fictional business identity to us, the judges. Please make sure everyone knows who you are and who they are before you begin. Okay, you will have 25 minutes to describe the legal, financial, and ethical dimensions of the problem and to recommend a solution that passes muster on all three fronts. During this time, team will be, we promise, we are not going to be interrupting you. When you are finished, we will be asking questions. Again, we are still in our roles. We'll ask questions for 10 to 15 minutes. During the Q&A, again, please remember and for us, the judges and the team, to stay in their role, in their character. After the formal Q&A session period, the judges, we will give you feedback outside of the characters that you assign us. So it's mostly we'll give you feedback about the presentations, the subject, and etc. So again, I wish you all the best presentation, and go ahead and begin.
Good afternoon and good evening to everyone present here. Thank you for giving us an opportunity to talk at the 17th Lithium Supply and Battery Raw Materials Conference. It is an excellent opportunity for us to go ahead with our venture. We are EcoLithium. Our motto is reimagining lithium and restoring balance. We are a recycling-based solution company, and I will allow Alyssa to explain our team.
Great. So my name is Alyssa. Good afternoon and good evening. So I'm excited to talk with you about the lithium battery disposal. Just like John mentioned, right, with specialized bike, right, the battery itself, right, recycling usage, reuse, tracking is all a big issue. So for our team, it's also very personal because we come from China, Pakistan, India, so those are regions, right? Battery waste is not just a statistic, right? It's a part of our real life. So I grew up in China where lithium battery, 75% are produced there. So I remember grew up seeing the rivers changing color when there's rainfalls, right? This is actually not just abstract issue, it's a real, right, problem in real communities. So in today's presentation, we would like to invite you to imagine, right, with an AI, right, how would the world look like if the battery aren't recycled? So may I invite our judges just share one word. When you see, what does this picture make you think?
Shocking.
Mm-hmm. Inside? All right. So like John said, it's very shocking, right? So that picture is actually not far from the reality, as you can see, right, from the picture. So from phones, EV cars, right, even bicycle. So the whole lithium battery waste is going to exceed to 100,000 tons by 2036, which is 11 years from now. And at that time, the battery waste is going to be number one, surpassing all the e-waste total. Also, we were surprised in our research, only 5% lithium batteries are properly recycled. So especially since COVID happened, the battery fire increased 26%. As you can see, the first picture from the left corner, which is a fire from SK battery, right? They're providing for lots of famous cars like Nissan, Ford, Honda, even ExxonMobil, right? Other huge partners. So this fire lasted for 4 days in July 2023. So it's cost 31 million settlement. So in one word, we believe this is an urgent issue and we really need to address. So in today's presentation, we will begin by identifying the ethical and environmental issues surrounding lithium battery disposal, followed by an overview of EV and battery landscape. We will also explore the current industry practices, access the situation through ethical, legal, and financial lenses, and conduct with a clear, actionable policy recommendations.
Thank you, Alyssa, for that. So some of the major challenges that we will face coming into the next decade will be EV adoption being on its rise, with sustainability and the green revolution taking place. One of the biggest issues is the number of batteries that are discarded. Coming into the next decade, around 2030, the first batch of EVs that were produced will go into retirement, which will cause a large influx of dead batteries which can't be used. Currently, like Alyssa said, only 5% of batteries are being recycled, which leads to a huge loss of materials, rare earth materials, which cannot be obtained again. This also increases the risks of fires and their storage and their disposal methods. Our solution incorporates using the latest in recycling technologies, be it hydrometallurgy or hub and stoke method. We also want to create a circular economy, which includes sourcing and resupplying to the raw materials and manufacturers so that we form a loop which is not easily broken. We also do our research and make sure that we meet all the regulatory demands that are set by different countries and regions, because that has become an increasing concern. And even countries like ours, from India to China to Pakistan, have introduced new policies and rules which align themselves to make EV manufacturing a major hub in their countries. We follow these particular ideals in our mind from the UN to ensure sustainable consumption and production patterns, which closely ties in with recycling the existing batteries and also making sure there are less wastages, and also to combat climate change, because a lot of the recycling processes, though very effective, do generate a lot of heat and can adversely affect the environment in the places they're located. Coming to a little bit of understand a little bit of the competitor analysis. There are existing recycling companies like Lifecycle and Ascent Elements who do specialize in their own aspects. In the case of Ascent, they focus on getting the cathode materials and not the whole battery and reusing a component of it. Models like these have worked, but the major issue they face is that they require a very high upfront cost for this. And as will be explained by my other colleagues, our process is slightly different, and we'll try to tackle this problem. I'll now give it to Supriya to continue with the ethical part of it.
Thank you so much, Amlan. Today we will explore the ethical dimension of this topic. So we will be focusing on environmental justice and global equity, corporate social responsibility and greenwashing risk, and how innovation should be balanced with precaution to ensure long-term sustainability. Next slide, please. So a central ethical concern with lithium-ion battery disposal is environmental justice. The environmental impacts from both mining battery materials and disposing of used batteries disproportionately affect vulnerable communities. Indigenous and rural communities often bear the brunt of mining operations, experiencing displacement, pollution, and economic exploitation. Similarly, disposal sites are frequently located in regions with less economic or political power, compounding the inequalities of the supply chain and the geopolitical effect. Additionally, the complex global supply chain of batteries obscures accountability, making it challenging to enforce the ethical standards across borders. To illustrate this, next slide, please, Milan. To illustrate these ethical challenges, we have an example of cobalt mining in the Democratic Republic of Congo, where battery production has been linked to severe human rights violation, including child labor and hazardous working conditions. Also in South America, the lithium triangle, the Argentina, Bolivia, and Chile, the extraction of lithium has sparked environmental and social conflicts, particularly concerning the water depletion and threats to indigenous communities' livelihoods. These examples highlight the urgent need for ethical vigilance and corporate accountability in battery supply chains. Next slide, please. As the battery use expand, corporations also face increasing ethical scrutiny. There's a growing ethical tension when companies promote lithium-ion batteries as sustainable, but neglect the impacts of its disposal. The discrepancy creates a significant risk known as greenwashing, where companies misrepresent their products as environmentally friendly while ignoring the end-of-life responsibilities. If unaddressed, greenwashing risk damages the public trust. It hurts the consumer confidence and potentially triggers a regulatory backlash. Next slide, please. I can highlight this issue with the case spotlight of SK battery fire incident. It is very severe, as seen in the SK battery fire that happened in 2023 in Georgia. This case highlights the ethical implications of inadequate battery management, resulting in the significant environmental harm, safety hazards, and a multi-million-dollar financial settlement. Reports have said that 31 million settlement plus additional state fines was the cost to the company for that fire. Severe threat happened to workers and surrounding community due to toxic smoke and potential chemical contamination. Next slide, please. So these consequences, as the battery industry rapidly innovates to meet growing demand, there's an ethical imperative to balance technological advancement with precaution. New battery chemistries are continually being introduced, often with limited consideration of long-term recycling disposal implications. Not just like we have heard lithium-ion batteries, it's a very common term, but there are many type of lithium-ion batteries that needs to be, solution needs to be found for them, how they are going to be disposed, how they are going to be recycled. Ethically responsible innovation means designing batteries from the outset with end of life management in mind. It calls for foresight in recognizing potential harm and proactively minimizing negative aspects. I will hand over to my colleague to explain legal ecological analysis. Amlan,
All right.
take over.
Thank
Thank you,
you, Supriya. So the ecological part, as Supriya mentioned, I will just cover a little bit of the specifics regarding EV batteries. Even though lithium is considered to be a major part of it, there is equal say in nickel, manganese, and lead being used. These are all rare earth minerals which lead to a lot of environmental degradation and mining issues. One of the major metrics that is used is the amount of CO2 produced over the lifetime of a vehicle. For comparison, in our current day scenario, an internal combustion engine or normal gas cars produce around 24 gallons during their 24 tons during their lifetime as compared to an EV vehicle. But the initial cost is so high that it takes 8 years for an EV to recover this gap that is created. So to overcome this, we need to form, this can be helped by recycling batteries better, which can help reduce CO2 emissions to a further larger extent, thereby increasing the effectiveness and the outlook of EV vehicles. I'll now give it to Alyssa to explain the legal complications of this.
All right. So can you move to the next slide? All right. So we're going to look at the legal analysis. It's not the most fun, but it's going to help you, right? Avoiding getting sued. So current landscape for lithium battery are major just EU recycled content quotas, and also in US is California battery durability law. And also moving in the next year, there's upcoming EPA standards because European countries known as the most strict policy for regulations on this landscape. So next slide. Next slide. So now we are looking at the policy, well, overall, right, outside of US, Europe, what are the right best practices, current regulations around the world. So as you can see from the graph, from 2023 to 2031, there are already different policies regarding EVs, regarding like how to recycle portable batteries. And we, as a company, right, like John mentioned, Specialized, Tesla, all the EV companies really needed to look at the landscape on regulations. So as we mentioned in the beginning of the battery recycling, right, the law regulation always exists, but why only 5% being recycled, right? Because there's actually gaps to be closed from what's not working and also what's coming. So at EcoLithium Solutions, we hope to leverage the gap, right, to find solutions for companies, right, that will help you, right, mitigate any legal risk and potential legal risk for developing your product, right, choosing the partners that make sense. So maybe I can pose the question to the judges, right? Why do you think the current law doesn't right work? Do you see pain point, right, from the company you're consulting or you're working at?
I mean, I can speak from my experience just really quickly. I don't want to take up your time. So, but I think the big issues are technology for recycling, the cost and availability of good recyclers.
Right. I think John is right on the point, because for US as a using American as a case, right? Because you have laws, right, for the battery disposal, but each state have different law, and then there's no federal regulations on lithium battery disposal, and versus there's also, some countries does well, such as in China, that have really good tracking system with QR code tracking every battery from, right, it produced to the end of life. But in the meantime, right, are this data transparent? There's always, right, like gray areas for when business see, right, leverage that field for business profit. Next slide, please. So talking about in EcoSolution, so we will hope, to have mandate traceability, right? Combine basically what the EU has a digital passport policy and China's real-time tracking. We also hope to align, right, all the legal regulations globally, right? Bring suppliers together, like funding compliance, that we all agree. So we also want to, because when we see law is coming, such as LEP batteries, basically compared to traditional lithium battery, LEP are less valuable for recycling, right? How we can help you manage that pain point when you grow your business, right? Switch your battery from regular lithium to a more economic lithium, and how to properly dispose of it. So we're happy to answer more, like a legal related question in our Q&A session. I believe Malia will take away from financial analysis.
Hi, everyone. So I want to talk about the financial perspective. And suddenly, financially, the lithium-ion battery and their recycling is a hot topic. And it is because there is a big business opportunity. If we just talk about in terms of the market growth, then globally by 2030, the market is expected to reach $200 billion. Moreover, by 2030, we are expecting 125 million electric vehicles. And this is exactly where the business opportunity kicks in. 2030 is the time where most of the current batteries which are in use will reach their end life. Also, talking about the recycling market for the batteries, it was $6.5 billion in 2022, and by 2030, it's expected to reach $18 billion. And this number is for the global recycling market. Okay, can we move to the next slide? Now, what will actually drive this business of recycling lithium-ion batteries? There are mainly two factors. The first factor is the supply chain disruption for the critical minerals. So these minerals like lithium, cobalt, nickel are very hard to mine. There is a lot of intensive labor. And when they are sold at market, like average price, if we just talk about the cobalt, which is the most expensive mineral in these three, that is around $20,000 to $25,000. Though there will be a lot of demand at that point in 2030, but it will be provided at a lot of higher prices. Moreover, another thing that will drive this business of recycling batteries is that currently there is a lot of push from the government that the businesses and products needs to be environmentally friendly, and they must promote circular economy incentive. Moving on to the next slide. Okay, so these are the statistics from 2024. If you see that the lithium-ion battery is currently $158.8 million industry, and this is just for the US. Now, this number might be low right now, and the reason that this number is low, that lithium-ion batteries, only 5% of them are being recycled, and still you have a number of $158 million. But just imagine about when you are in 2030, when most of the batteries have reached their end life, this number is gonna grow exponentially. Moving on to the next slide. Okay, now when we are thinking of recycling lithium-ion batteries as a business, number one, there are multiple revenue streams, and number two, you must not be dependent on the one revenue stream when you are looking at the recycling lithium-ion batteries. Why is that? So the first and foremost important that revenue stream is going to be you extract these minerals from the batteries. That is going to be a lithium, cobalt, nickel. Now, sometimes there can arise the issue when you are trying to extract these minerals from the batteries. They not come out in their purest form, and you might not get that much revenue as you are expecting to get on these minerals. And that is where two other revenue streams come in. The first in the government incentive. For example, even in US, if you are doing something that is good for the environment, something that promotes green and clean energy, you get the 30% credit on your investment tax. Moreover, the third revenue stream is going to be your end of life battery fees. So in many states, even in California in 2022, there was this act enacted by government where the manufacturer is actually responsible that if by the end life of their products are getting disposed of in a way that is not bad for environment, or preferably they are being recycled. So if you have this revenue stream where you can charge these businesses that, okay, we will recycle your batteries, and you can charge them in the return. Now, talking about the unit economics of this. So generally, if we look at where you will there is a lot of initial capital involved, but eventually you will reach the break-even point for the medium scale facility in 5 to 7 years for this. Number two, if we are looking at the profitability factors, number one, there is high recovery efficiency. You can provide consistent battery supply. If there is a high demand for the EV batteries, you are coping up with that. Number one, favorable commodity prices. Number four, automation reducing labor costs. The labor is actually involved in mining. You are just bypassing that. You are just extracting it from the batteries. So that is where it makes sense financially. Talking about the return on investment. So if you have a facility that is recycling around 20,000 tons per year capacity, you will get your ROI around 15 to 20% when your operations are mature. Moving on to the next slide. Okay, so here the expense is actually divided in the two categories. Number one are your initial and big investments, which is your capital expenditure, which is for the facility setup, and this is for medium to large facilities, which is around $50 to $200 million, depending on what kind of tech is involved, what is kind of the capacity. Then talking about the day-to-day expenses of recycling is the collection and transportation, which comes out to be 15 to 20% of your total cost. The second is your labor, energy, chemical, maintenance, and so on. And moreover, if we sum it up, the operational cost comes out to be 1,000 to 200,000 to recycle 1 ton of battery material. Now, the thing is that if it's expensive, then it's still why recycling battery is a viable option and how to do it financially so that it makes sense. Number one, these numbers are mostly for the large companies. No one is talking about if you are trying to do it at the smaller version, if at the pilot version. No one is talking about that. And that is where we are proposing our solution that my teammate Supriya will be discussing about.
Thank you, Maliha. So at EcoLithium Solutions, we believe sustainability, profitability, and ethics are not mutually exclusive. They can reinforce each other. The next slide, please. So we are proposing a technology which is a proprietary model, which will give tangible results. We use a highly efficient hydrometallurgical process combined with cutting-edge AI-powered sorting for the metals in it. This approach actually achieves an impressive 95% recovery rate for valuable minerals like lithium, cobalt, and nickel, and use 40% less energy than the traditional methods. So these recovered lithium meets commercial grade purity standards at 99.5%. Our system is zero waste, fully closed up, and recycles all water internally. What we are proposing that we will have our system decentralized. We will build modular facilities which will be deployed within 12 months near the urban hubs where the EV manufacturers and the battery energy storage system manufacturers are set up. This will reduce the transportation cost by lowering 60% transport emissions, which also supports our ethical ideology. Next slide, please. So we're using a blockchain traceability also to effectively track from origin to end life cycle of the battery materials, and also make digital passports part of our system, which will give transparency and ethical dimension to our solution. We are partnering with NGOs to train and employ the marginalized workers and train them in safe recycling jobs, replacing hazardous informal labor. Our solution goes beyond the benefits of for stakeholders are clear: increased supply chain resilience, reduced dependency of mineral extraction, and lowered compliance clause. Next slide, please. So the impacts are clear for industry stakeholder and both for policy sustainability consultants. We actually call all our associates. Next slide, please. We actually call on to a path where ethical responsibility and sustainable innovation converge. But the real transformation requires collaboration. It requires bold choices and decisive actions from industry leaders, policymakers, and sustainability advocates. That's why we are here at this conference, and we urge all our fellow conference attendees to come and visit us and invest in our technology so that we can power our future, not just protect it, but also sustain it for a longer time. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, EcoLithium Solutions, for this very informative presentation. Now, I am a company owner. I have a small recycling company, and I really want to take advantage of this massive opportunity. $18 billion by 2030. It's coming up quickly. What are the possibilities to use my regular battery recycling facility to recycle lithium batteries as well?
So we are trying to use AI in our metallurgical processes and to help support small recyclers like you. We want to license our technology, which you can leverage at that. So it will sort the metals to almost like 95% accuracy rate. So you might get a bit advantage of that from us.
Yeah, so excellent presentation. I was pretty blown away. I want to apologize for having dropped off for a minute. My Wi-Fi went away all of a sudden, and so I've had to call back in on my phone, but I didn't miss too much. As a manufacturer of electric bikes around the world, and so we send our bikes everywhere. It's how can I as and within our company mission, one of the things that we talk about is sustainability, and also do the right thing. Just plain and simple, do the right thing. And so this is definitely something that makes that we need to do the right thing here. How do we, as a bicycle manufacturer supplier around the world, how do we take advantage of this technology and access it in a way that can fit into our business model easily?
So
I didn't ask the question very well, but it's there's a desire to do something, but the question is how do we do it?
okay. So the main factor is that you are transporting your bikes worldwide. So we cannot like talk about that when they reach their end life, you just transport all the bike from your all locations back to your original facility and do the recycle. This is where our business solution comes in handy. We can help you build these small modular facilities where you are at the locations where you are bikes being transported. So that will cut out your cost for bringing those bikes back to your country and take out the batteries and then recycle them. Apart from that, moreover, the labor cost can also be extracted because the system is automated. We are using AI to see and check that, okay, what can be extracted from the batteries, what cannot be extracted from the batteries. And we are working, because we are building these smaller modular facilities, that will overall cut your investing cost in this recycling facility. Yeah.
Also, to add on that, you talk about a reputation, right? Let's say you compare with the brand Trek, right? So by partner with us, we will say each of your battery, right, have a QR code and has a little battery passport, so you can actually track from our data system of each of your battery, right? Like being used, being manufactured, from repaired or recycled. There's a data transparency to show your customer, okay, compared to Trek, we're actually very responsible, right? So it's good for your company's ESR by implementing our system to tracking your battery.
That is awesome. Yeah, that is super awesome. The other question that I had, just in understanding the technology a little bit. So does this technology already exist, or is this something that still needs to be developed?
So do you mean the tracking or the?
No, the whole, let's say the whole recycling process that you
Right.
mentioned. Is this, because at the end of the day, you said there's no waste that's coming out of this process and this sort of thing. So is that something that already exists, or is that something that still needs to be developed?
So in a lot of cases, there are recycling plants outside with recycled plastics and other sorts of waste. And then there are EV recycling plants which focus on this. EV recycling technologies do exist, but none with the efficiency that we currently have, because we have refined the processes, used AI models to generate the most effective way to do them. So although hydrometallurgy does exist in other companies, ours does it better and in a way which is more efficient. And when we said zero waste, we also plan on stripping them of the other aspects which are not related to the rare earth minerals beforehand. Since we don't need extra labor to do this, it is more cost efficient for us, thereby making it a process where we can recycle those separately or send them off other recycling plants where it is done, thereby following a zero waste loop.
And then the last question that I had is, when thinking about recycling, there's always, whatever the product is, there's always sort of a governmental aspect to it. So in other words, like, for example, in Germany, I know that there's a cradle to grave concept where companies that put products into the stream of market, that they're responsible for the products from cradle, from delivery into the marketplace, all the way back to the end of life. And so they're supposed to provide a way to recycle and to adequately dispose of the products. In practice, I'm not sure it quite works that way, but that's the idea. How important is our government regulations in actually pushing for these kind of creative recycling programs? And how important is government regulation and support in making these recycling programs financially viable? Not only viable, but actually sustainable, financially sustainable.
Right. So first of all, you're so right about it, right? The EU, right? Germany, Belgium, those are like famous for the recycling system overall, right? From law to practice to people's awareness. So in the meantime, in the US is, right, as I mentioned before, there's like each state come up with their own law. So our suggestion would be start with states such as Massachusetts, California, where you actually have more, right, like favored policy. We tracking the data, right, like basically have the pilot program, right, like have programs that we show, right, the financial data of, right, in small scale, but also leverage the existing policy. They may be slowly promoted, like said in Texas, right, to hope, right, like people see the financial, right, it's have to be financially viable to be, right, like sustainable. So we would recommend, right, start with a few states that will welcome, right, the pilot program, then slowly, right, like probably applying more best examples from Europe. And our team can chime in.
Yeah, I also want to add here. So there is this law called EPR, which is Extended Producer Responsibility. And when we are talking about the policy, sometimes an addition of a one or two word can totally change that how that practice will be carried out throughout the industry. So if we are talking about this EPR law that I want to focus on, it's mentioned in that the manufacturer is responsible either for the recycle or the disposal. So when you are giving these manufacturers the option to dispose of, then they are gonna like, there is likelihood that they will choose the easy option because that is easily available. If you give them the only option to recycle, then an action can be taken that how can we recycle this. Another thing, if we are talking about in terms of the incentives, so US has this for the businesses which US government considers good for the environment. They are giving them 30% tax credit on their investment so that these businesses have to pay 30% less taxes compared to the other businesses. These are the two current things that we found out during our research. Yeah.
Okay.
So maybe you quickly add another bit, like lawsuit case in France, right? You talk about Europe. So there's in 2022, there's actually 20 million lawsuit, right? Apple lost it just by simply not telling their customer, the battery you use can be replaced. Instead, they're actually pushing customers to buy new devices. So in US would be totally okay, right? You have Apple Care program, like you just switch upgrade to the next one. But that actually breaks the Europe law of, right, the violation of customer transparency law for batteries. So I'm saying it's double sledge, like how, right, a regulation can actually protect the customer and bring awareness.
Yes, that's a good point.
Sustainable buying, consumer behavior.
Yep, good point.
All right. I don't have any other questions, John. You're done. So now we'd like to give you some feedback just outside of our roles. We are no longer sitting in a conference at a meeting and listening to you. It was to me, it was extremely informative because I don't know very much about batteries in general. And I do agree with you, Alyssa. I mean, yeah, I changed my phone yesterday, and the problem really with my old phone that I absolutely loved was that it was the battery just could not keep up anymore. And I was asking those internal questions like, so why can't I just change the battery, to a new battery? Because otherwise, I love my phone, So just you raised really, really good points. Your presentation was well put together. I loved your slides. They were very descriptive. I could see, when you're talking about collaborations, I see the hands. It's just very, very engaging. Not too much words on it, so I was able to follow it. So yeah, kudos to you. In my point view, you hit all of the points. I loved your, the discussion on the legal aspects, because it's like, is it really, I was thinking, is it lack of regulations or lack of consistency in regulations and laws? Or is it just enforcement that is the problem? Or is it incentives that's the problem? And you really, I was asking those questions as they were coming out. It's like, okay, that's it. You answered it. So yeah, I did enjoy listening to you, and I learned a lot. So thank you.
Well, my turn. Yeah. So I think I agree 100%. And I really enjoyed the presentation a lot. I think, this is a big important topic. Can I ask you a question? So you led off with a conference. Is that a real conference, or did you guys make it up?
It's a real conference.
So it's real.
Yes, it's happening.
It's happening. Okay. And are you guys presenting at the conference or no?
Maybe we can submit our presentation to them.
Well, I tell you, I think it would be a great presentation. It's too bad. It'd be great to try to figure out how to get you guys in there. But it's such an important topic, and and we're just kind of at the beginning stages of realizing that, holy smokes, this is a huge potential environmental disaster that's coming. In addition to, Alyssa, what you talked about it in China, I've seen it, in China. I've been there and have seen it over the years, and and so in many different categories, and so yeah, so I totally sympathize, and I mean, you provided a pretty clear roadmap, and the technology. I think that and the finance piece of it was super clear. And so I really appreciate that. I think that, at the end of the day, it's there has to be sort of a combination of government and private enterprise coming together to come up with the solutions, and the one supporting the other. The thing that I saw in Europe and Germany in particular is that even though the law is in place about cradle to grave, you can still buy your way out of that whole process by buying credits from an accredited recycler, and so in some ways I walked away kind of feeling that they were just paying lip service to what I think is a real important issue. So yeah, so I think I wish I had some constructive criticism to offer to tell you, hey, you need to fix this and this and this, but honestly, what I've been doing is, on one side, I've got write down the problems, the questions that come up in my head, and then feedback on the left. And on the left, the only thing I put down was great. So, but I know that doesn't help you much, but it really is. It was a really good presentation.
Yeah, good luck to you presenting it at this conference. I think you're going to see a really, really good reception. Just my advice, keep on being forceful and passionate in your presentation, especially because this is going to be Vegas, a huge conference room event, it's going to hold hundreds of people. So just be, project in your voice as much as you could. Again, I think everybody is going to notice your passion about the subject and your knowledge. Yeah, I mean, all I could say is good luck, and I hope it does make an impact, because I am with you, John. I don't like this buying credit stuff.
No.
So kind of, it's like, why just take care of the problem, don't go somewhere and buy credit. I don't understand that. I'm a civil engineer by training. I want something concrete,
I totally agree with you.
Don't go and buy something.
Yeah.
Anyway, John, thank you so much for being a first-time judge. I know you have enjoyed it, and thank you to the team for presenting and for taking some of your time and spending it with us.